Hello and welcome. It is the 24th day of August 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel where, like always, all bets, trades, and of the like, well, that's always within each's own risk and their own reward. $10,000 for Bitcoin even at this exact time, 8:32 a.m. Eastern on the Coinbase exchange, and now a penny more. And another just continuation of tests within the lower end of this market. It's range bound until it leaves it, and like always, breaking key levels. Of course, this key level is a bit below it, range between 95 and 91. Getting down below that, significant move most likely, probably in between support at 82, 81 area. But that would be my next intended target, with the more longer term one at 63 and change. In viewing it on the weekly chart, if it fails to gain momentum, this rising 18 average is going to lose such of a rising moving average and go neutral, pending, of course, it not holding around 8,000, because 8,000 would be an area test, of course, in this lower end area here. I'm going to start covering a lot more the cross of Bitcoin and gold, especially as we move forward into, I don't know about me covering it, but I think maybe, but markets moving into like several years from now, well, Bitcoin and gold. And right now it costs 6.5 Bitcoin, 6.54, to buy an ounce of gold. Same thing here as far as losing its momentum, and you're going to get more relative, like a lot of the similar kind of looks within the market. But will that continue as we move over the next 2, 3, 4 years? Especially if gold has a very interesting run to the upside. Then what would happen in a chart like this is, well, if Bitcoin goes up, it won't go up anywhere near as much, or may go sideways or lower. Meaning, say gold has a tremendous run. It does better than double, 3,600, something like that. And then Bitcoin goes from 10,000 to 16,000. Well, it would actually go down against this. But we'll see in time how it'll be kind of interesting to see how this works out. But we look on the daily chart, even though gold's doing its nice little thing, pretty much the exact same look here as well as far as chart design. And right now, what it's doing within the 18 and this major level of support. The range here is between, well, 6.5 and 9 and a bit. And as far as where these numbers have been, well, this is point oh. Okay, point oh broke point oh one in 2012, or actually 2013, and then this range was point oh eight. This high was almost 1, or maybe it might have got to 1, but then it broke the resistance of 1, got up to about 15, and then back down to about 2.5. Looking at some of the better percentage gainers on the day: WAN, Civic, Fun, Win, MFT. My best one is Sky. I'm trying to sell it right now at 89, but I'll have an alert come in if it does go through. Let's take a look at WAN. It's at 494 Satoshi now. And the monthly chart, well, I guess we're in the 18th month now, because we barely got the moving average just added on here. The month is up 73%, but it was at 10,000, now it's at 500. So with a great gain, it's still down 20 times. On the weekly chart, we have this continuous downtrend and a move that has gotten above the 18. Well, that means holding about the lower end here around 275, 300 becomes very important. At least that's what you would think. We'll see more when we go to each time frame, because the 18 average of lows is 231 here. But what a big move, though. On the daily chart, okay, this top was June the 14th. This bottom, August the 7th. So what it lost in 7 or 8 weeks, it got back in under 3 days. For this decline was basically, well, 585-ish area to about, on this day here, is 200. We have an open here on this day of a low of 204, open to 205. And it's managed to get up to 586. Single hour term. Well, was there anything to tell you beforehand that this was ready to get going? Well, what was telling you this at this point, we had major resistance at 226, and this volume in here is definitely a helpful indication amongst it. But there's always going to be big volume that can come in at any time that can say, hey, I mean, it's not like it's anything we haven't seen before. Big volume coming in here as well. And then you have that move, and well, it just continues going through, correcting every single time. So, how big were the corrections overall? Because that's one of the things in these bull markets that's very important to note. Because when you have big moves, 2x, 4x, 8x moves, what kind of corrections along the way do you have? And in situation here, you go from 285 down to 253, but the move really hasn't started yet. Up in here, it already did at 414. It pulled back to 362, like 50 points. So that's like volatility of 15%. Nothing too fantastic as far as trying to just pick away at a little bit. Because one, you'd have to sell near the high and maybe get near the low. And even then, if you were to say sell at 400, you might be looking to buy back at like 336 or something. It just doesn't make it there. And in here, we've seen it go close to 600, and it's down to as low as like 430. So that's the first good volatile correction it's had. Now, whether this is the top or not yet, I don't know. As it's going to be attempting now to get above it. We've already seen it go from 4 in the third, and we're already gotten over 500. 511, yeah, so 60 plus 70. So almost 20% just from this low to this high in itself. Well, volatility is obviously here, and like I've said so many times, when markets are ready to go, they can go. And well, today this one is ready. Now, as a trader, I'm not trading this coin, but had I, well, whether you're trading against Bitcoin, your sell orders, of course, should have been hit, some of them. And along the way, if you've been playing this, whatever your highest number was, say 550, 589, whatever. Well, what have you? Did you buy back any of it? Because maybe you could have had the opportunity to do so. For if you see like, oh, 550, I want to buy. If it's short term, I want to buy it back at 480. Well, 480 easily happened because if you had said 450, that would have happened as well too. But again, if you would have said say 420, no go. And a lot of that will happen. And if you're ratio trading this against other coins, well, you're selling this coin and buying the other ones. And the volatility is probably going to help you along the way because when these things have big moves, when they're going to pull back, they're going to pull back, and that's every coin. And you could have we've had a almost a 3x move. Whether it's a 3x, 5x, 20x move, it's going to happen. The bigger the move, the bigger the pullback. Obviously, is should happen to go along with it. Another one of those coins that was kicking ass today, CIS. Here we had the sideways range in the 240s, 246, 247, then a move up here. But the volatility this is having, it's move up here, that's 269 down to 243. And then you sell up here again, say, but you haven't bought back yet, obviously, because it kept going higher. Maybe you're able to sell again, and maybe you're waiting for 290, and it still might happen. But obviously, it's having a decent sized day. So this is a 15-minute time frame. We can go back and see on the 20th. And it's been a long time since I've played around with these fonts. But I've seen a lot of people do videos showing TradingView, and you cannot read their prices or their time frames. And I made sure when I put my fonts in that I can do it. I'm curious about that. If they're probably one of these things might have it. Anyway, don't know why I said that right now. I mean, I think of that all the time, but I just never really say it. Anyway, I like to have nice fonts. The volatility here. So this move that we're seeing today, a big move, is just, man, whatever, just attempting to get above the 18 average of highs in here. It's been in a, you can call it a sideways range, but there has been clearly an uptrend. And resistance, something in this area here. Definitely a failed breakout here, but oftentimes for failed moves brings fast moves in the opposite direction. If you want to count that, it's tough for me to state, but still, I mean, volatility is still 327 down to 240. So everything you sell in here is buybackable. And then the move in here, this is July the 30th. It's at 447. It goes down to 206, so it loses more than half its value. But the volatility is pretty decent though. And I remember a day back, I think it was in 2018, this thing went really, really wild. Oh, it's probably this day here. And yeah, well, that's basically it. This thing is up big, but it's also it's not leaving. It's not up big. Like what's it up like 30% or something? Not much at all. Let's move on to Theta, which is over 1300 now with 1302. As this one is breaking out nicely. Our level's not seen since August the 1st or at monthly highs as well. And trying to create a double bottom, but it needs to, for me to at least get up to this neckline area of about 1431, and then got to get above it just to have a breakout, the breakout attempt. But a double bottom is like a two U's or V's, however you want to look at it, and it's. I like over the last few days how we got this update leaving the 18 average on the 21st, and we can see it goes up to this top on a low volatile day on the 22nd, really pausing and matching the price action in yesterday's session, and for up to now the break of what looks to be about 12 and 2/3. It's well, what's this high? 1285, and this high here is so yeah, the high 1270s, 1280s. It's already gotten above the previous 2 days highs. When we look at this on a 3 hour term time frame, it's been in just a beautiful run since this bottom. As the 18 average of lows has done very well since its first failure, which was right in here. And all it had was one leg lower. When only have one leg on a move and that's it, well, that's really nothing at all. And from this point on, the 18 average of highs completely resisting in here. And a nice 18 average low support test correcting there, breaking this level of resistance. Just nice, beautiful moves. 18 low support, 18 low support. And now we've had two moves to get above, but I like how it's holding. This period here, coming back to this level here, just a little, not much of a volatility move, but it's clearly holding and staying above this high as we can see over these periods. So this to me looks like it's got the potential to continue for maybe a decent sized gain. And if it does break above a resistance line like this, we could have decent sized green candles where we talk about that previous resistance number. Well, that could be taken very easily. We could be seeing 16, 17, 1800 fast, especially when you see coins, yeah, 60%. Well, if this makes 60%, we're talking around 2000 from here on in. Now let's move on to my best gainer right now over 24 hours, and it's a lower holding of mine. Although I've been able to accumulate an okay amount lately because it's ratio I have against Go chain. I have an alert here, trying to sell at 89. If it hits, it hits. As far as a ratio trade against that of Go. And over the last little bit here, there wasn't much of an order size at 89. 88 was a pretty big level. I didn't really want to sell at 87, which I could have. Now you can tell the bid ask, well, it's 86 and 87. When it was just moving like this line, the bid ask was 88 and 87. And that's when I participated by putting my order in at 89. And again, I'm trading this against the Go coin. And I probably should put an alert down here. I didn't. If I can see the market holding and staying below 110, 109, I'll just take the sky price there and I'll just do it. And I have an alert here as well. Because if this thing happens to have a good rally, and this thing is going pretty good lately, or it's got the potential to go as well, then I'm going to want to cancel my sky sell order because the ratio trade's probably going to be off. Because if it gets past this, if you're shorting, that'd be like a good place for a stop maybe, although technically maybe 119 for a stop or a little higher. But either way, um, that's where I want to eliminate the trade. And this one in here, again, I like the potential for this, how it's been supporting this. It's been chopping up and down above the 18 average of highs, but it's been supporting the lows well. We can see it supporting it in this 3 hour period as well. That any time this has got the potential to go and getting above this resistance that it established here on August the 16th, then we're now starting to talk about going on maybe the 130, 140 range as the next target. And when I look at the ratio of Sky versus Go, well, right now it's at 77 and, well, 2/3. And among the daily chart, it's just doing all of this. So up in here, when this was going up, I was selling Sky and buying mainly Go. I mean, up and down moves, I can flip it back here and all that stuff. But my primary trade from the July 25th high at the 113 ratio down to here in this low was selling Go chain and accumulating Sky. And then up here, a little bit of a boost, so I can buy some. I sold some Sky, bought some Go. Then back in here, selling more Go chain, and well, my last trade would have been around 70ish or something in that area. I want to get a little bit better. I'm trying to get this trade probably as I'm trying to set it up now at around 78, 79, 80. But because Go chain has fallen a couple basis points, it's working out in my favor a little bit. And now let's move the GRS DGB cross. And the reason for these lines is 2 days in a row, people sold DGB off really aggressively on Bittrex. And I'm a little concerned about that, but not really, though. And it's all risk reward management as it is. But this market here, when we take a look at this, we'll eliminate that data. Has managed to get up to 27. It was low as here as 22. So the difference in volatility, 5 points, 20%. Nothing really too fantastic because historically this one ran pretty good. But yeah, let's take a look at GRS against Bitcoin. And like a lot of the coins, ass kicking from this high. So it lost about, from the last big move that it had, 18K down to about, it lost about 9 times its value. That's the way these, just from this high here, 38 down to 20, losing close to half. And definitely a failed breakout. You get above it, definitely it was a selling opportunity, but then buybacks, and well, you break the low. Now it's consolidating and it's topping at this area of the support that it had over the second, third week of July. And the move today, it's up 7.6%. For the week, it's up just a small green candle, 12.36%. And as we take a look at this on the short term, our chart is really showing something pretty interesting. It had a beautiful move on the excitation here on last night, as it left 22.5 and it made a move to 25.25. And from that, how is it reacting from that particular move? Well, it's went sideways and it's done all of this type of stuff. And after resisting in here, we have this selling, this best move so far since it's been consolidating in here. Doesn't come to the lows, so be it, but it did match this prior support in here. And from this green candle, well, this was a nice bullish candle. We got 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in this. It's 8:56 a.m. So very good. I like how these two candles have progressed from this. It looks as if it's attempting to have excitation of the 18 average of highs. And if it does it from this move as it plays out here, well, that should bring a phenomenal breakout moving forward. On the 3-hour chart, I think it was the 8-hour that I might have been looking at. That was, yeah, this is the one I noticed that when I was planning on doing this video. So this is that level of key resistance that it's breaking. Interesting. There's 3 hours left in this period, 8-hour time frame, so it's past the halfway point. I like how the reaction to this is on this period. As this statement was breaking this level of resistance after this very long sideways consolidation period that it had. And when you break it, you usually get a significant move. And this isn't that much of a move. I would say if it's going to have a minimum move, I'm looking to a level here, like maybe 27. Because I talk about like the three little bears, too small, just right, and too big. Well, this would be too small. This would be just right, and in here, and I would like to see it, would be starting to get too big. And I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it just break out, and next thing you know, it's 8,000. And these types of coins can do it. I mean, GRS it's done it like 7, 8, 9 times. It'll have a span of 1 to 3 days. Just a fantastic move that blows this type of move out of the water. This was like going like 26 to 37. That was not quite 50%. I'm talking 70, 80, 100, 200, 300% moves. Sort of like, of course, this one being the last one when it went up from 62 to like 20, or a 3x plus move in like a couple of days. That's what these coins do quite frequently, at least they have in the past. I'll conclude this with Bitcoin dominance, which has been in a uptrend for quite some time since the start of the April lows. And the 18 average, the real good test on the way down, the only real amazing one, or the best one definitely, is from the May 14 lows to the June 14. So the middle of May to the middle of June. But really, for just a couple of days in here, did it have a good 2, 3 days from in the middle of May. The 18 average from this point on corrected since it broke it out again from here. It had a couple of small 18 highs test here with this and this. Then it had an okay move in here, establishing this level of support, but nothing too fantastic. And then from this move, well, we've had a continuation run so far. Again, the volatility is low, making it nothing fantastic. And for me to say a real serious move is going to come into play, well, how I'd really have to see this. This thing would have to come down to like between 57 and 60 on here for there to be a real serious move. For there to be like a man kind of move, I'm talking about going to 65 or whatever in this little area. And we haven't had anything even close to that yet. And at some point it's going to happen. And when it does, well, that's generally going to be Bitcoin not going up too fantastic. But if it does, that's like, well, that would be the spring of 2017 all over again. But Bitcoin going down, going up 4%, 2%, 7%, when the other coins are doing 20, 30, 40% consistently. And some doubling and tripling, and not too many actually going down, or even not too many not going up over 10%. That's how sick some of these markets can be at times. When it's ready to happen, it's going to happen. And at this time frame, until we can see more evidence that this thing is going to roll over, it's probably not going to happen now. It is starting to go below the 18. So one way of looking at it was back in here, it had the potential to do it, but it never really did. But it got below the lows, breaking down below here again. This was a decent sized move, and well, it went a lot of altcoins. If we take a look, August 13th to well, on August that day, August 13th itself, probably did really good that day. But obviously, from that point, they haven't been able to, well, hasn't broken down below the low. They haven't outperformed it. And the resistance in here really didn't have it. It's resisted the highs and it supported this. So that wasn't bearish at all or anything for it to go down. On a bullish level here, getting above here, well, we've been ranging it. Resistance twice, support in here. So it's attempting to break what has been a major layer of support. Well, if it does, then we're talking about support here, where it came from with the once hit move. And then breaking that level, then we're talking about, okay, maybe it's now going to have a serious level. So those to me were at the first key level of big moves. A move to here, you probably end up seeing situations where a lot of coins will have double-digit percentage gains. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.